Howdy, kiddos. I ever tell you about the time I worked for the lands between animal control? No. Well, sit back, crack a beer, and open it in, 'cause it's story time, baby. It was 1974. I was a retired LBPD detective, but just didn't know how to relax. I tried golfing with my buddy Bogert, but every course we went to, we got kicked out of, 'cause, well, he kept stealing shit from the cart girls. So I did what every other male retired senior citizen does, and unretired. Saw an opening for an animal control specialist. Thought that'd be perfect for me on account of I hate dogs, bears, birds, and everything in between. Little did I know we'd be controlling something slightly bigger than eagles with fucking swords attached to their feet. Yep, that's right. Dragons. My first week on the job. Boss says, "Hey, Granpapi, you took down some big names in your detective days, right?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." He said, "I got a shit ton of dragon-related deaths going down in the lands. Do you want the job?" And of course I took it. I headed over to Limgrave, to the dragon-burnt ruins. And what do I find, of course, in typical lands between fashion? A cult. Worshipping some dragon named Agil, and as I moved closer to a bonfire to ask some questions, fucking dragon comes flying down and kills the whole lot of them. So my old ass heads on over with my standard issue crossbow and shot the bitch with a trank dart. As you could guess, it was like poking an armadillo with a toothpick. So in Granpapi fashion, I pull out my old dual swords, the ones I used to become Elden Lord, and I beat the bastard till he was talking America in the afterlife, baby. And I started to investigate the area, and I found a dragon heart was left behind from his carcass. So I picked up the heart and immediately got the urge to head east. So like every bone in my body was vibrating and pulling me in a certain direction. So I followed my body and ended up in front of a 2-ton beast of a big bird. Except this one was full of rot and decay. The guys at the office told stories about this big beauty. Name was Exix, the rotten dragon. Apparently, after the Great War, where the dragons tried to overtake Leyndell, a few got left behind that didn't perish. Exix would get stuck in Caelid, left to wither away and rot. I knew this would be no easy task, but as animal control, I knew I had to vanquish this beast, and I did just so, and received another dragon heart from its carcass. That made me feel even more of a pull, except this time I knew exactly where I needed to be. The Dragon Communion Church. I headed in and saw a cauldron, and it's like something took over my body. Before I knew it, I was eating the 2 dragon hearts and becoming one with the species. I knew everything. I knew where all my new brothers and sisters' locations were, and I sought them out. But no one would talk. They would all look at me as if I was beneath them, and yet I vanquished one after the other. Borealis of the Frost, once a lord among the mountaintops until the fire giants defeated them and chased them from the peak. Grail, the mother of all lesser dragons. I had to kill all the giant vegetables' kids, and the pain was so deep for her it broke her heart, and she passed away. And then I came to Lensax, an ancient dragon with the power of ancient lightning. Apparently, Lanciax was the sister of Fortisax. It is said that she took the form of a human to commune with the knights as a priestess of the ancient dragon Alt. I heard Fortisax only existed in some sort of dream realm, so I let the bastard live. But if he starts going Freddy Krueger and killing shit from Sleepyland, then don't be mistaken, I'm gonna put his ass down. And after all of the hearts that I consumed and received from all of these dragons, they all led me to a place in the sky, a place that I thought only existed in stories. But to my newfound knowledge, it was very, very real. Farum Azula, crumbling Farum Azula to be exact, only I don't know how I got here. I just woke up and boom! I'm in the fucking sky. But no matter, I spoke to the locals, a species of semi-intelligent dogs. I was very tempted to lock them up, but they were civilized enough to hang around, I guess. And they worshipped a dragon called Placidusax. They told me exactly where to find them, which was a little suspicious if you ask me, but that won't stop your old Granpap from heading on in and investigating. So I made the treacherous trip down, and man, it was exhausting. So I decided to take a little nap. I'm old, sue me. Well, just so happens it was the worst place to sleep because my ass went back in time and bam, I'm fighting a big-ass thick bitch named Placidusax. As I was looking at the giant ancient dragon, I realized that it was missing 3 heads and thought to myself, gee willikers, buddy, what in the hell decapitated this thing? Not once, not twice, but 3 times. Who or what could have done this? There was only one man I knew who had enough power and motive to take on this beast, First Elden Lord Godfrey. After I defeated Placidusax, I went to Stormvale to speak to Nepheli, his daughter, to ask if she knew if her father, Godfrey, had fought Placidusax at some point in time. She said she hadn't known, but that there was a story of a great dragon battle. There were 2 that were said to have mortally wounded each other, and that sounds like the kind of info we needed. You see, over 23 lives are taken every month due to wild dragon attacks, and I'm ready to take that number to 0. So if that means I have to hunt down the biggest and baddest dragon of them all, well, then that's what I'll do. Nepheli told me the beast dwelled in the Shadowlands. I hadn't been there in almost 30 years, so I laced up my best greaves and headed to the portal. As I arrived on the scene, I talked to the locals, and they heard of a small village being attacked by a dragon, so I started there. It was an undead dragon, a beast I'd never seen before, slaying countless amounts of knights. I decided to help them, and I killed the dragon, and one of the knights was so appreciative, he told me where I could find the local Dragon Communion Church. I consumed another dragon heart and learned the history of the undead dragons. The land of spirit graves is home to all manner of the dead, and even the corpses of fallen dragons found their way here. Several of them were endowed with such vivacity that even in death they could not fully die. And now, neither could I. My blood would grow hotter, and I would be drawn to the dragon's pit, where I would meet a man, or dragon. I'm not quite sure what he was, but I had the feeling if I continued down this path, I would become what he is. And I'm not about to become a fucking lizard, man. That shit just can't happen. I can't mac on all the biddies back at the nursing home if I got a damn tail and fangs. Though I continued my search and trekked up the mountain, I saw so many dead dragons. Dragons fighting each other, ancient dragons, And at the very top, I would find him, a dragon so devilish in appearance, he sent chills down my spine. Oh, wait, that was just the hoarfrost begging to get out and stomp this sumbitch. During the battle, I noticed he had the severed heads of Placidusax biting his flesh, still to this day. And that's when I realized this would be a tough fight. I was on the brink of death, and then I felt a surge of power from within. It was the wailing cry of Placidusax coming out of me to claim his victory over Baal. Baal was defeated, and I would feel this urge to carve out his heart and consume it. But I felt if I did, something sinister would eventually happen to me, and somehow, one way or another, Baal the Dread would take over my body one day. So I took the motherfucker's heart and threw it into the seas of the lands between, bigger. You ain't taking over this bide, you dumb dragon. If you like the story, hit that like button and subscribe. But most importantly, stay young, kiddos.